Hi, everybody. This is Vincent from Grundo, Gazette, and I am joined today by none other than the one and only Billy Tooma, the director of the forthcoming and long-anticipated Ken Forsse, Come Dream With Me Tonight. And really glad you could talk to us here and kind of fill us in on what's going on. But I'll start with this. What have you been doing for 3 years?
First off, thank you for doing this. I think this is really important for all of the fans out there to know that the waiting game is coming nearer to ending. Okay, I promise. But what have I been doing for 3 years? It's crazy. I was looking at my Facebook memories today, and it was actually like 3 years ago today that we flew out to California to meet with Ken's widow Jan and to really start the work on this film. So it's quite literally been 3 years since 3 years to the day. It's been crazy. It has been crazy. What have I done? These are things that we've mentioned in previous videos that we've worked on, but over 50 interviews, and I mean, interviews with people who range from Jan herself to Ken's daughter Teresa, to Phil Barron, the voice of Teddy Ruxpin, to Tom Fountain, the puppeteer who was one of the programmers of Teddy in the 1980s and into the 90s. Gathering archival footage, we're talking hours of old VHS and 8mm footage relevant to the story. We're talking thousands of photographs, thousands at this point of photographs, and having to take all of this information, put it together into a screenplay, and to then edit this thing in the computer. I use Vegas Pro to create the story. I mean, what have I been doing for 3 years? I've been gathering an archive that didn't exist and figuring out the most honest version of the story based on primary source material, aka the people who were there and knew him. What have I been doing? I've been doing a lot.
So you mentioned the waiting game, and I can attest that as one of the people waiting to see the final product, it has been a long time coming. But I think the question on everybody's mind is, when does the waiting game come to an end?
Way back when we're talking 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, the idea was that the film would be released on what would be the anniversary of Ken's birth, September 17th, and the idea was September 17th of this year, 2021. That was when we had kind of thrown around the idea of, oh, wouldn't it be great to drop the film on the anniversary of Ken's birth? And unfortunately, COVID-19 happened, and suddenly working from home, and I'm a new father. My little girl is 1.5 years old right now, and I don't know how I'm this close to finishing the film, right now, but obviously September 17th didn't happen. And then, I had said, well, if I can't do September 17th, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it comes out in 2021. It's not coming out in 2021. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's not coming out this year, this calendar year. But before the pitchforks and the torches come out, I have a date. It's not tentative. It is the date that I plan on dropping the film.
So we can officially mark our calendars now.
You can mark your calendars January 3rd, 2022.
Okay. Wow, January 3rd. So that's pretty much right around the corner. I mean, the holiday rush happens, and then we can all strap ourselves in for this film. That's awesome.
It's so it's gonna be a great day. January 3rd. The plan is 12 o'clock noon Eastern on YouTube. Like I've always said, it's going on YouTube. So January 3rd, 2022 is when Ken Forsse, Come Dream With Me Tonight, Part 1 debuts.
Wait, okay. So part one, is this a two-part? Is this a trilogy? How much film are we talking here?
Can Forsse Come Dream With Me Tonight is going to be presented in 9 parts, beginning January 3rd, and each subsequent part coming out every Monday. So over the course of 9 weeks, you will get a new part until it's all out. So we're talking from the beginning of January to the very end of February.
9 parts. You're telling me that this is so. All right. So are we talking like cumulatively? We're talking. I mean, 9 parts. I'm thinking 20 minutes, 30 minutes a piece, right?
The total runtime of Can Forsse Come Dream With Me Tonight is, if you're going to estimate, 8.5 hours.
8.5 hours.
It's not my fault. Ken lived Ken lived a full life. This is a guy born in 1936. And this is a guy who got his career going, in high school, right out of high school in the 1950s. And he never looked back. Of course, Teddy Ruxpin is his greatest creation. That's 1985. And the germ that became, the seed that became Teddy Ruxpin was put in his head in the late 50s. So, yeah, Can Forsse Come Dream With Me Tonight is an 8.5 hour documentary presented in 9 parts.
I mean, I think it's impressive that, do you have enough material? Clearly you have enough material to do quite a bit, but 8.5 hours, that's...
If I can put this into perspective for you, about a handful of visuals are reused. That's it. Maybe 5. You see the same 5 photos twice in 8.5 hours. That's how much I have. That's how much I had. That's how much I've been able to gather and to use. We'll talk more about this, I'm sure, as the film comes out and everything. When this project started, I had no idea what the scope of the story was. I had no idea what scale I was working with. And so I thought, you know what? An hour? I used to lie to I was lying to myself up until this past spring that it was going to be an hour. Could I have told this story in an hour? Yeah. Would it have felt cheap? Yeah. Ken deserves a lot more. The people who knew him and worked for him and with him and loved him, these people deserve the whole story, and it's a beautiful story. I'm telling you, if your attention spans can handle 8.5 hours, mine can. It really is a beautiful story, and I think people are really gonna love it.
That's incredible. I don't know that anybody was expecting the scope of your work to culminate in 8.5 hours worth of film.
I just want to make sure I do this little shout out. This goes to our friend Nick, aka Ilyap Octopede. He had said very early when he first connected with me on social media, and he was joking about runtime, and I said, well, I don't really know how long it's going to be, and he said, I'll be honest with you, Chief, if it was 15 hours, I'd sit there and watch the whole thing. Well, Nick, Ilyap Octopede, I couldn't get it to 15, but half of it's there. I got half of that for you.
Maybe one day we'll get the director's cut.
There's no more. I have nothing. I have nothing left to give.
Well, that's amazing. I think we're gonna have a fun time letting this all sink in. So, thank you for this update. So January 3rd is the date that part 1 of apparently 9 parts drops, and man, I am so excited to see this final product. I'm sure everybody else is too, and thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
I just want to say that to the people that I have worked with, including yourself on this project, I just really want to thank you guys. My cousin Cody, amazing sound audio engineer, he cleaned up a lot of those phone interviews for us. Will Lewis, the only man who will ever compose the music to my documentaries, and of course Najee Smith, our artist who helped fill in some gaps. We thought there was going to be a lot more, but Najee was really happy that there was not a lot more. And he So it's you guys, the backbone, and of course, Tony, our other executive producer on this. You guys have just been, wonderful and patient, and especially with dealing with me when I'm not really sure. It's like, oh, should I do it this way? Should I tell it that way? And it's just like, look, do what feels right, and that's what I did. There was no hesitation. 8.5 hours. It's going to be a wonderful ride.
Well, thank you so much. That's amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it. Ken Forsse, Come Dream With Me Tonight is now a docuseries told in 9 parts. And thank you so much. And we really look forward to seeing part 1 on January 3rd.
Thanks, guys.
All right.